the distributive property to solve a multi-step equation. Think about this question during the lesson. A math teacher recorded the distances he rode his bike last week. He challenged his class to find the number of miles he rode on Thursday, which we can call X. Here's what we know. The teacher rode a total of 4X plus 3 miles on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. He rode X plus 7 miles on Friday, and again on Saturday. The total number of miles he rode on Monday through Wednesday is the same as the total number of miles he rode on Thursday through Saturday. How far did he ride on Thursday? Draw a bar diagram to represent the situation. We'll have 2 equal bars. One bar will represent the distance traveled Monday through Wednesday, and one bar will represent the distance traveled Thursday through Saturday. Which part of the bar diagram represents what we need to find? The X segment is the number of miles the teacher rode on Thursday. How can you find the solution of the equation using the bar diagram? The top bar is one side of the equation, 4x plus 3, and the bottom bar is the other side, plus 2 copies of x plus 7. The quantity x plus 7 appears twice, so you can write it as 2 times x plus 7. So the solution of this equation is x equals 11. Let's check our answer by substituting the value 11 for x. Is 4 times 11 plus 3 equal to 11 plus 2 times the quantity? 11 plus 7? Yes, they both equal 47. Our answer checks. The teacher rode 11 miles on Thursday.
Solve the equation 3 times the quantity x minus 5 minus 5 times x equals negative 25 plus 6 times x.
So we're going to rewrite our equation so that we can solve for x. So we have 3 times the quantity of x minus 5. We're going to break apart. So we have, I'm going to make my arrow go underneath. So we have 3 times x that we're going to write here. It's going to be x, and then you have 3 times 5 that goes here. Minus 5 times x equals a negative 25 plus 6 times x. So now we're going to combine our like terms, which would be the 3x and the negative 5x, and then we also have to do multiply 3 and the 5. So that's going to be 15 minus the 5x, and then we have 3 times x minus 5x. That's going to equal negative 2x minus the 15 is equal to negative 25 plus 6 times x. Now we're going to take the negative 2x and we're going to add it to both sides of our equation so that we can get the x on one side. So then we have, that's going to cancel on that side. Then we have 8x on this side. Then we have negative 15 equals negative 25 plus 8 times x. Now we're going to add 25 on both sides so that we can get the 8x by itself on that side. So that will cancel. We are left with 8 times x. And then negative 15 plus 25 will equal 10. And then we have 8 times x that we need to get now, separate that x. So we're going to divide, instead of Multiplying, because that is the inverse operation of multiplication, is division. So we're going to divide by 8 on both sides. That will cancel. So we're left with x is equal 10 over 8. Why is it not writing? It's 10 over 8. Why is it not writing right here? Okay, that's weird. All right, so it's 10 over 8, and then that needs to be simplified. So that would be, wrote it over here on the side. So 10 over 8 is equal to 5 over 4, because we're going to simplify this by dividing by 2. Both the top and the bottom are numerator and denominator. And we get 5 over 4. And then that will be our answer.
Solve each equation. Part A. Negative 5 times the quantity x minus 2 equals negative 25.
To solve, we're going to distribute the negative 5 to the terms inside the parentheses. So negative 5 times x and negative 5 times the minus 2. So that's what you see here. Then we have to simplify on this side. So we have negative 5 times x is negative 5 times x. Negative 5 times negative 2 is 10, positive 10, because they're both negative. And then we have to bring the 10 on the other side so we can get our value, or our variable by itself on one side. So we're going to first subtract 10 on both sides, and then we're left with that negative 5 times x is equal to negative 35. Now to single out the x, we're going to do the inverse of multiplication, which is division. And we're going to divide the negative 5 on both sides, and then we're left with x on this side. And then we have negative 35 divided by negative 5, which is going to give us positive 7. So we've now solved for the value of x. This is another equation.
Part B. 3 minus the quantity x minus 3 equals 25.
So in this case, we're going to distribute the negative 1 to the term inside the parentheses. And what they mean by that is, because we have this 3 minus and it looks like nothing is here, there's an invisible 1. So that invisible negative 1, if you will, has to be distributed to each of the terms on the inside. So we have a negative 1 times x, and we also have negative 1 times negative 3. So that's what you see here. And then we combine them. So we have negative 1 times x is negative x. And then negative 1 times negative 3 is positive 3. So now we combine the 3 and the 3. We get 6. So we have negative x plus 6. Then we have to bring that 6 over to the other side of the equation. So we're going to do the inverse of addition, which is subtraction. We subtract 6 on both sides, and then we have 19. Negative x equals 19. So to not have a negative value for the variable, so we're going to take the negative 1 out of the x, and we're going to divide on both sides. And so we're now left with that positive value of an x, and that equals the negative 19.
Solve the equation. 1/4 times the quantity x plus 3 equals 1/2 times the quantity x plus 2.
I'm going to use distributive property on both sides of our equation because we have numbers on the outside on both sides. So 1/4 times x, 1/4 times 3. That's what you see here. 1/2 times x, 1/2 times 2. That's what you see here. Then we combine those, well, simplify it first. So 1/4 times x is x over 4. And then 1/4 times 3 is 3/4. Then 1/2 times x is x over 2. And then 1/2 times 2 is 1. Then we are going to take the x over 2 and we're going to bring it over to the other side. So we have negative or minus x over 2. We brought it over. And now it's going to equal x over 4. And then we have our 3/4 that we're going to bring over to this side. So we're going to subtract 3/4 on both sides. And now we have 1 minus 3/4 on this side, and that's going to equal 1/4. So now we have negative x over 4 on this side equals 1/4. Now we need to solve for x. So we're going to take out the negative 4 and multiply it because this is division. So we're going to multiply that on both sides. We're left with this positive x is equal, and we multiply that. That's going to equal negative 4 over 4, which is equal to negative 1.
Solve the equation negative 3 times the quantity negative 7 minus x equals 1/2 times the quantity x plus 2.
Okay, so we're going to use distributive property. So we have negative 3 times negative 7, and that would be 21 minus negative 3 times negative 1x, right? So we have now positive 3x, so that changes to a plus sign. And then we have equals 1/2 times x and 1/2 times 2, which is 1. And then we have to bring one or the other, excuse me, to the other side. So I am going to take the negative 1/2 x because it's positive 1/2 times x. So I'm going to bring it to the other side. So I'm going to subtract 1/2 times x from both sides of the equation. That cancels out, and I'm left with 21 minus, that's going to equal 5/2 times x, and that's going to be oh wait, hold on, equals 1. And then we're going to move the positive 21 over by subtracting 21 on both sides of the equation. That cancels, so we're left with negative 5/2 times x is equal to negative 20. Then we need to solve for x, and so we're going to do, divide 5/2 on both sides of the equation. This cancels, so we're left with x. X is equal to negative 20 divided by, I'm going to write this over on this side, negative, so this looks like negative 20 divided by negative 5/2. So we're going to do keep, change, flip, right? So we have negative 20 over 1 times 2 over 5 negative. Then we're going to simplify first. So 5 and 20 have a common factor, greatest common factor, 5. That becomes a 1. That becomes a negative 4. And then we multiply straight across. We'll get negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. And then 1 times 1 is 1, which is equal to negative 8.